This is class 146 on the Golden Doves. We're on page 81 on the bottom of the page. Welcome to Torah Andalus. If this is the first time you're on this channel, keep in mind that we're not looking for quick tidbits or just quick inspirational 1 minute ideas. This is really a very difficult, intensive study of Torah, Talmud Torah. Sheyu oskim b'Torah, sheyu amelim b'Torah means that you have to sweat in the study of Torah. So we're really dealing with difficult concepts here. So again, if you're not looking for, the opportunity to really think deeply about things, this channel is not for you. And of course, if you are, then please watch the channel, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that stuff. But I just want to make sure that I'm not misleading anybody, and making you waste your time. That's why I need to give this introduction. So we're studying really difficult material, page 81. Bottom of the page, we were talking about negative theology, negative knowledge in the previous classes. We're continuing with that. We're almost done with the chapter, by the way, or rather, we're almost done with this particular chapter 3. So it's pretty amazing that we're here. Okay. Let's see where we're up to. We're on the bottom of page 81. As differential, negativity expresses a fundamental semiological principle. So we are dealing with negativity in the context of understanding God. I'm not going to repeat that, but we said that a lot of things are differential, right? So we understand things through differences, right? So things are in opposition to each other, right? But this also has to do with language. So if you study language, you understand the idea of negativity because that's a fundamental aspect of linguistics, right? You can't understand Hashem and you can't understand Torah deeply unless you understand linguistics, right? So linguistics is really important. So in linguistics, you have this idea of differential and negative. Saussure, the great Ferdinand de Saussure, the father, I think, of modern structuralism, showed that one of the early structuralists, showed that by itself the sign would have no signification. So let's say the only word you had in the world was cup. There's no other word. The only word is cup. The word cup wouldn't have any meaning, right? Because for words, again, there's an arbitrary relationship or arbitrary conventional relationship between the word, the signifier, in this case, the word being cup, that sound, right? And the signified actual cup, right? The actual object. Now, if the only word you had was cup, right? And that sound is, as we said, conventional, or maybe some would say to a certain extent arbitrary, perhaps. So that word cup doesn't have any signification, right? Because there is no relationship between the sound, cup, and the cup, right? For the word cup to signify the object cup, you have to have differentiation. Differentiation and opposition are required for the acquisition of value. So when I have a cup, and then I have a fork, and I have a knife, and I have a plate, so now there's some differentiation. There's these different sounds. Cup refers to this thing that I'm eating with. Fork refers to something different than the cup. I'm eating with the fork, but it's something different than the cup. Knife refers to something else, right? So there's an opposition here. There's a differentiation. And that's what gives it value. So just the word cup, if that was the only word in the language, there would be no value to the word cup. A term derives its value from its opposition to all other terms. So when you put can you pass me the cup of water, please? So the word cup now has a certain differentiation. It has a certain opposition to the other words in the sentence, and therefore it has a value. Thus, negativity, and here we go now to negative. Remember, we're talking about negative knowledge of God, and we said the attributes are to be understood in a negative fashion. Negativity is simultaneous with difference and value. Concepts, this is now Saussure, are purely differential and defined not by their positive content, but negatively by their relations with the other terms of the system. So, I have a concept, right? The concept is the concept of stopping, right? And then I have a sign for stopping, the red light. What gives the red light significance is not just that it's the color red. What gives the red light the significance is that it's different than the color green and the color yellow, right? So because it's different, it's not that the red actually means stop. It's because the red is different than the yellow and the green, right? There is no positive content to redness that would suggest stop, right? But negatively, by the relation with the other terms of the system. So I know, well, I get it that red and green are saying something different. And I understand that green means to go forward as red means to stop, not because greenness insinuates going forward, but greenness is different than the red, and there's nothing redness, meaning stop. But I know these two things are different and they refer to different concepts. One is referring to the concept of goingness, the other refers to the concept of stoppingness. And it's this opposition that gives the term's meaning. It's not the positive content of the term. Wow, this is really important. Thus, negativity is simultaneous with difference in value. I'm repeating that sentence. Concepts are purely differential and defined not by their positive content. Again, there's nothing in this red that means stop, but negatively by their relations with the other terms of the system, as I explained. Their most precise characteristic is in being what the others are not, right? It's similar to the Derashot of the Hachamim in the Midrashei Halachot. I'm talking Midrash Halacha. You're always trying to give a particular meaning, halachic meaning, to a particular term in the verse. And oftentimes there's nothing in that term that suggests that content, right? There is nothing about that term that positively indicates that content. So for example, kabed et avicha ve'et imecha. So et, the word et, according to the Midrash Halacha, comes to er achicha hagadol or ahaticha hagedola. There's nothing positive in the word et that brings that meaning. But rather, the word et doesn't mean kabed, it doesn't mean av, it doesn't mean em. So through differential meaning, I say the word et means older brother, et means oldest sister, right? That's through negative opposition of the terms to each other. Their most precise characteristic is in being what the others are not. Right. End of quote. The negative sense of a term appears only at the semantic level, in which signification is the effect of a syntagmatic relation with the whole of the sentence, right? Ani halachti lebet haKnesset, right? So the word bet actually means a house, right? But by itself, house of what? Bet haKnesset. So the word haKnesset gives meaning, informs the word bet. But if I just said the word Knesset, HaKnesset, without the word bet, what do you mean you went to the Knesset? What does that mean? So each word gives meaning to the other word, gives value to the other word. So I'm just going to repeat that sentence. The negative sense of a term appears only at the semantic level, right? Because the word bait by itself means house. Knesset by itself means gathering. The house of gathering, right? That's a semantic level, right? So the signification of Bet HaKnesset, the ma'ana being house of gathering, that signification is the effect of a syntagmatic relation with the whole of the sentence, right? And I went to Leitpalel, halachti Leitpalel. So now you understand that Bet HaKnesset is the place where you pray in, right? At the semiotic level, meaning is immanent in the sign even in isolation. Let me give you an example of semiotic, which is a primitive type of thinking. And in semiotics, you can have a sign in isolation by itself, meaning something, because the meaning is just there. My father used to talk to me, Allah yirhamu. He used to talk to me when I was young about intentional semantics and extensional semantics. I said, why are you telling me this? Like, what does it mean? Like, how am I going to fit this in? And then as I got a little older and wiser, I kind of began to understand what he's saying. I'll give you an example. A rose, a red rose. So a husband gives a red rose to his wife, right? So the red rose on its own symbolizes love, romantic love, beautiful love. The meaning is immanent in the rose, right? It's not that the rose relative to another flower, if I put another flower there with daisy and rose, that now the daisy means this and the rose means that. No. The meaning is in the rose itself, right? So at the semiotic level, meaning is immanent, right? Even the sign is in isolation. It has meaning, right? So you see the difference between semiotics and semantics. Semantics, that's the extensional semantics. So by intentional semantics, my father was referring to the sign in isolation. By extensional semantics, my father was referring to, so for example, you have a box of matches. I see it's a box of matches. So I know that inside there's matches. That's another example of intentional semantics. I don't need to put the box of matches next to a candle to understand that the box of matches means there's matches inside, right? In fact, Saussure distinguished between the signifier and the signified. When considered separately from each other, they are negative. When considered together as a sign, they are positive. So we will finish this next time.